used Oxide washes as decorative painting. So these test tiles are all Oxide washes. And they show the Oxide wash painted over Celadon as well as applied on a texture under a glaze and then glaze applied over. So this is going to seep into any crevices, add more iron to it, and then allow that to really come through. So I have the choice of glazing over this or leaving it totally matte. If I choose not to fire red iron oxide wash, it will be like this. Okay, so this is put on, wiped back in strategic ways, right? I didn't keep it on ultra heavy, but this gives a very nice antiqued look, right? So oxide washes also give that antiqued look. So when you talked about the handle of your piece, maybe wanting to be painted, well, this is a great way of doing this with oxide wash because you can get enhancement to small details. You can get a coating that looks a little different, maybe not color as much, but it's just another alternative. So how do I do this? I have this piece here that's textured. If all the washes, I really like red iron oxide. It's the most dependable out of all of them. The cobalt wash is really difficult to use, as well as the copper wash. They're really tricky. I actually wouldn't try them. I really wouldn't. It doesn't work well. So I just want to make sure that it's kind of mixed well. This will stain your clothing. It may stain your hands temporarily. I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom, and I'm really just going to get this on. Now, the point of this is that it's going into the lowest crevice, right? So by me using very, very little and just brushing it on, it might only hit this top surface area, not the low point. So I usually have a full bucket of water, sponge, and I'm just going to start wiping back. My recommendation is to do this in small sections. Don't paint your entire piece with full red iron oxide wash and then start having to wipe back because it will take a lot of time. Red iron oxide wash, this can be applied to the bottom of a piece as well. It will not fuse. The only time it has fusion issues is if I decided to paint this really heavy and did not wipe it back at all. This will fuse. So I take the time to just kind of wipe this back and paint again where I want. You have, again, the option to, I could decide that I want this area here to be unglazed, this area here, because it's near the mouth, to be glazed, as well as the interior to be glazed, giving me contrast in glazed surface. Or I could glaze all over the oxide wash. Note that oxide wash works well with translucent glazes. If I applied Oribe on top of red iron oxide wash, it's going to look like I did nothing. Because it's a very opaque glaze with a heavy colorant. Same as Ohio white. Probably not going to see anything. So if you want to use this technique, you're going to want to use Celadon or clear, or maybe that light green Celadon. That's about it. Or no glaze at all. Any questions about oxide wash? Yes?
So what I need to do my the first coat before or after? Does that look like the Celadon?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Like, so if I wanted there to be a glaze on it, do I need to do that first?
Yes.
Okay.
You always do this first. Then I would recommend, so note that I'm also not using a ton of water to wipe this off. The more I saturate this, it's not going to absorb that next glaze on. If it ends up that you're using a lot of water, then just let it dry for a day, come back the next day, and dip it in glaze. Should be fine. Sometimes those students tend to wipe back for so long that they're oversaturating it, and that layer of glaze won't bond, or it won't dry. So be aware of that. This is just a neat technique to use to enhance the texture, or to give you a surface that looks kind of antiqued, things like that, that has no glaze.